In elementary school, I had to take both woodworking and textile handcrafts. I like both, but textiles were more my thing. Woodworking always gave me the chills. Every time the teacher ran their hand along the wood, I could feel getting goosebumps all over my body, as every time I did it, I got splinters. So, good memories. I stuck with textiles where I had more inspiration and fewer splinters. Now I kind of wish I'd done more woodworking because carving wood seems interesting to me. I don't even know if they teach you that in elementary school or any school. It feels like a self-taught thing. In textile class we had to pass sewing machine driver's license test, as those were the main things we used in the class. I don't know if anyone ever failed that test, as it was sew in straight line, do a zigzag. What do you do when you come across a sharp corner? It was a really basic things that anyone could do with under 1 hour of teaching. Because I liked the class and I wanted to learn everything, almost. I was acting kinda proud in the class all the time. But let's be real. I wasn't the best one, and I didn't have a fashion eye, as I do remember many of other girls' crafts were always better than mine. Here's a prime example. My wallet, a project we all did. Look at that straight line I did. How I decorated this with random sewing patterns. Also censoring the top of the wallet, as it has my name written on it over and over again. The yellow inside with the camo outside, fashion. I tell you, high peak fashion. But it's mine, and I'm proud of it, as I still have it and use it sometimes. I probably don't even know how to make one anymore. So, as I was acting confident and all in the class, my teacher made me help the other students sometimes. Either she thought I was actually good, or I remember things very incorrectly, and that I was in fact good. One day I went to help one of the girls from my class. She had some problems with her sewing machine, and when I got to her I learned that her project was stuck. So I started to get it loose so she could continue. The first mistake we made, we didn't turn off the machine. The second mistake we didn't move her foot off the pedal while my fingers were under the needle. You see where this is going? I was fiddling with the fabric when BAM! Her foot pressed down and the machine wasted no time. I felt a sharp pain shoot through my finger and I yanked my hand back. I had a bleeding hole in the middle of my fingernail. The needle hadn't gone all the way through my finger, which is very good. Maybe my bone stopped it. Who knows? But all I knew was that my finger was now leaking. My classmate went pale and started to apologize to me, but I, being a totally rational 10 to 11 years old, insisted that I was fine. No big deal. Let's just pretend it never happened, while she could clearly see that my finger was still bleeding when I was talking. Unfortunately, she had conscience and wanted to tell the teacher. I panicked more and told her not to say anything, as I was fine. Why wouldn't I want to my classmate to tell the teacher about this accident? Shame. I had been acting like I knew what I was doing all the time in the class, and that I was totally pro. Now I had made the dumbest mistake possible. A mistake that shouldn't have happened. I helped her to get her project unstuck without stains on it and left her to her own businesses. I went to do my own things and tried to forget the bleeding finger until my teacher came to me. Her worried eyes went to my hand immediately. The teacher knew what had happened. My classmate ratted me out. How dare you? I told you not to say anything. And I trusted you, and now the teacher is right here, looking at my finger. The teacher, thankfully, didn't scold me for the mistake. Thank God, that was the only thing I was worried about. The teacher sent me to the school nurse, who inspected my finger and called my parents. She didn't believe that the needle was inside my finger, but said we should go to the hospital if it got worse. Did anyone check the sewing machine to see if the needle had broken? No, of course not. Needles broke all the time with kids using the machine, so if a needle broke, it just got switched without thinking. And we were taught how to switch the needle ourselves if it broke. For my luck, my finger healed, but unluckily, the hole on my nail also healed. So I didn't have the hole anymore. I was so ready to watch the nail grow and at some point have the hole on the tip of my nail, but that never happened. Sure, there was a little dent on the nail, but it's not as exciting as a hole. So I forgot I ever had an accident. But my body didn't forget we had an accident. It took maybe a few months before I noticed that my fingertip started to hurt. And then the tissue around the nail became swollen and infected and started to fester as my body rejected the needle that was still inside my finger. I won't go into too much detail, but let's just say I perhaps could lift my nail and I perhaps could see what was underneath it. That moment and the image as I stood in the bathroom are really clear in my memory because I was excited about that. I have never seen underneath a nail and then I could see it. Exciting. My excitement of that graphic image turned one day to a falling needlehead that at some point dropped on the bathroom sink. It was probably a 3 millimeters long needlehead. I took it and ran to show it to my mom that I had indeed a needlehead in my finger. And it had just dropped. And she, like any supportive parent, took the needlehead and taped it into my baby book. And it's still there. I've seen it with my 2 eyes. After my body did its job and pushed the extraneous object out, which it didn't want in me, my finger and nail healed fast. The only lasting reminder is a small, dark or white spot, depending on the angle you look at my finger, spot under my nail where the needle went in. A permanent souvenir from my glorious days as a sewing expert. Thank you all for watching my video and listening to how not to use a sewing machine. Another thing that I learned in the textile class was knitting, but sadly I did not keep that skill with me or the things I made. I have this though. I made this in kindergarten and I love it. This is made with knitting with one needle. I don't remember what that is, but yeah, it's the knitting with one needle. But knitting is the thing I actually want to learn now. I have bought this magazine and some yarn also, so I could start my knitting era. But I'm still missing the knitting needles, the other very important part of knitting. I will get them at some point, I hope. I wish to find them in the second hand, if I'm honest, and that's why I don't have them, as I have not found them yet, which is interesting me because I would thought there would be knitting needles in second hand. But as always, I hope that you enjoyed my video and I hope to see you all in my next one. Bye bye!